Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mind of the Rev here on YouTube. As you can see from that, as much as you can see from that angle, today is going to be the first building. Well, technically, it's going to be the first building video of this, which I am planning on probably building this dinosaur. Though, because of how many pieces this thing has, I probably will not actually build anything today. This would be just me organizing through the pieces because this has, I believe, over 1,000 pieces. So I'll start out just by opening this box. How do I open it? I forgot that I see, when I got this stuff, I was so curious about what was in it that I opened them, but I taped them shut. Which, let's see, can I get this without having to get a knife? Maybe. We'll see. I don't want to ruin the box, so I will be right back. Okay, got my fancy my nice little multi-tool here. That way I can cut these things without messing up the box, because it's actually a pretty nice box. And I probably, in between building these different things, keep the pieces. Oh, right. Okay. So, a little bit of background. Also, again, I'm probably going to say this in every video, a reminder that because of life situations, everything I do will be completely unedited. So, yeah, the first thing in the instruction manual is also to point out the fact that I did not realize this when I bought it, but it is in Japanese, Chinese. Did not know that. But luckily enough, the instructions are visual. And oh, are there so many? There's 21 steps on the very first page. So, I will put that aside for the moment. So, just pull the box. One bag. At the time of this recording, it is June, towards the end of June. I have just returned from a mission trip in South Carolina, Charleston, where I worked on a kids camp with my group. Well, let me explain it first. My youth group uses an organization by the name of group missions or group mission trips. Anyways, the way they usually do things is they take the youth groups that come to their main site, which I think in most cases is usually a church, as it was in this case. Okay. And they basically divide us up into, they take the youth groups and they divide them up into different crews. So I think we had, let me think for a second. At this site, at this church we were staying at, I believe there was, I would say somewhere between maybe maybe 5 different youth groups. In previous years, there's been like 3, but I think some of the youth groups were particularly smaller. So I guess to kind of balance each other out, because there was about, I think, 93 people there total. And then they had to run the whole entire camp, because they refer to it as a camp. They had 3 what they refer to as red shirts, which are I don't know if they're volunteers or if it's considered a summer job. They never really talked about if it's considered a summer job or they get paid for it or if it's literally just volunteer. Either way, it's probably a lot of work for 3 people to do all this. So the group that I was with, we were working at a YMCA, basically just interacting with kids from as old as 12 and as young as 5, I believe. I think in a lot of cases, in a lot of situations where you have like day camps, they have a lot of these things probably have a rule that while they probably have like a minimum age, they also have to be potty trained. I would hope that you're potty trained by 5, because I think a lot of times that's when a lot of kids start going into like pre-K and stuff like that. But anyways. And also at the time of this recording, as I mentioned probably in my intro video, my father is still in the hospital. He may come home later this week, but we'll see. So now that that's out of the way, I am going to. So what this video is probably going to be is me going through these things and just kind of organizing the things into different piles, because as you can probably see, this is a lot, and these instructions are a lot. Let me actually roll through and see. Oh, we're past 100 for. Let me see. Is that? Yeah. So let me actually see how many steps this dinosaur has, because that might factor in how. Okay, here we are. The last page with the dinosaur. It has. See, 212 steps. Granted, I think in like probably Lego sets, some of these steps may be combined, but for the sake of what we're doing with this, I probably may end up just doing like in each building video, I may just try to get through like a couple pages, just because of how much there is involved here. Oh, there's stickers. Obviously, I haven't gone through this thing enough to know that there's stickers. Now, throw it in the box. I probably won't just go here. So obviously, because of how much there is here, I'm going to simply go through these bags one by one and try to organize them into types. Because there's no markings on any of these bags, so I have zero idea like what each of these things actually. And I know what you're asking. If I'm not going to do any building in this video, why the heck am I organizing them? Well, let's be honest, it's content. But when I get finished, what I'll probably end up doing in this video is I'll probably divide these by color, just because I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then I will, after this video is over with, I will get some Ziploc bags or some containers and just kind of divide them up. Well, I already messed it up. There's a lot of green, so I will get a lot of green pictures. Green out of this. So, the mission trip I was just on, that was. I don't know what I mentioned in previous videos, because and plus I'm not entirely sure when this will film, what videos will come first. But where I went, Charleston was where I went to college. and technically we say in Somerville, which is like, um, I guess you could say it's sort of like a suburb of Charleston. I guess I don't know what the technical term is, but the 4 years that I was in college, I spent time in, just for various reasons, in the different areas around um, Charleston, and I think it's possible Somerville. I think may have been a place I went for a coffee shop. I don't drink coffee, but it was sort of like a you go there to kind of you know, it was like an open mic kind of thing. Well, I think it's close to an open mic to probably explain what it was, but it was like, and actually no, actually it wasn't there. I think it was on Latson, which is basically just another place. Um, um, what I may end up doing with this is I will record myself probably for about 30 minutes and then whatever, and just finish it up after that, because I really don't want these videos to be more than um, 30 minutes long, especially since I'm not building anything currently. Um, so basically, I'm just here talking. Um, one back down. So what can I talk about? So going on these mission trips. This one was the fifth or sixth one. I think this was at least the sixth one with group missions with this, particularly with this youth group. But overall, it was my seventh. Whatever number I've done with the current youth group, this would be like one more than the total number, because I went to New Orleans as a senior in high school. Long time ago, we were serving after Katrina, and I actually have some pictures that I will post from that. I'm not going to post a lot, just I figure I'll post some stuff on my Instagram from the mission trip that is basically nothing with anybody in it, just because I don't think that would be fair. But like, we going on that trip a lot, that mission trip to New Orleans really did like open my eyes to a lot of things, just because Katrina hit New Orleans really hard. And I remember seeing things when we had a tour of the lower ninth that just blew my mind. Pictures. I have pictures of some of these things where it's like whole houses that were lifted up off their foundation and thrown across the road, where all that's left of the on the property is the stoop. Probably one of the most memorable things as far as when it comes to getting that tour was in one of the neighborhoods in the lower ninth. And for those who aren't really familiar with like the lower ninth, the lower ninth, at least back then, I don't, from what I understand, they were never going to rebuild it. I don't know if that is actually what ended up happening. I've never looked into it, but apparently a lot of the people who lived in that area rented. So, it was, I think, from the plans that I was understood, is that because of how hard it hit, the plans at one point were just to basically never rebuild that back up, just because it was like, I don't know if it was too damaged or what the deal is, but like, we're not going to rebuild it because it's not worth it, I guess. I don't know. I think that's probably subjective, because people live there, so, or lived there, so I feel like that's, it can be argued that yes, it would be worth it because you're giving people a place to live. But I digress. But anyways, probably the one most familiar. One of the things that I remember the most as far as from getting a tour is that in one of the neighborhoods, if I remember correctly, it was probably one of the more middle class neighborhoods, because I just remember the houses being a little more upscale, um, which I know is strange when you say, as far as like hurricane damaged houses, but I think you understand that it probably wasn't in the lower nine, one of the other neighborhoods we got towards a big shrimp boat actually got lifted over the levees and landed in the middle of this neighborhood. And I have pictures of the group like walking around it, and you can kind of see that something that it seems so crazy to think something like that would happen, but there you were, big shrimp boat in the middle of a neighborhood, and there I was, or there we were, a bunch of I actually think a good portion of us were like either seniors or like we were all in high school. That's like one of the big differences between what my youth group or the closest thing to a youth group I had and what, because like with our youth group that I'm currently in, we pretty much do everything. I think it's on rare occasion where we had stuff that were specifically for middle schoolers and things that was specifically for high schoolers. Partially because a lot of times we just didn't have enough youth to do that, and I know over the years I've been to different conferences where you had people talking about middle school ministry and high school ministry, and for me, I'm like I being around middle schoolers and high schoolers, and in some cases actually being in charge of them at like youth rallies and stuff, I do see there's a distinct difference. Um, wow, a little. See, this is the one thing I'm pretty sure this. Okay, here's the thing. Let me see. This is a little Lego like gun. Clearly, I'm pretty sure that has nothing to do with the dinosaur. So obviously, there are going to be pieces of this thing that have nothing to do with the dinosaur. So, but it will make it easier when I work on really any of the three. What I will probably end up doing is in between working on when I get through, like, for example, when I work on one of these videos where I'm working on this dinosaur, that's distinctly different. I will. What was the thing? Right. When I get through one of these videos, like for example, I will probably, when I get through working on this dinosaur, I will probably most likely not like take it apart and start working on the next one. I'll probably move on to possibly one of like the regular models, but as you've clearly seen, this thing is going to be a long series of videos. My original plan, which looking at how much there's here would have been ridiculous, was to actually divide these things up by the kind of piece, but that would have been, honestly, looking at all this, I realized that would have been a unwise move because there is a lot of pieces, different pieces here, and doing it by color is probably the best case scenario. I'm not 100% certain what I'm going to put each of them in, but I will figure that out later. When I do get finished, because I don't think this is probably going to take me more than another 10 minutes or so to divide through these. I will stop this video at around 30 minutes, and we'll finish it off video. And just out of curiosity, kind of have like a before picture of what what will eventually go into the dinosaur. I will take a picture of all these things divided up into these piles, and when I post this video, I will post that picture on Instagram, which the information for that will be in the I created a like a link something. I don't know how to say it, but I created this thing where, well, I didn't create it. It's a website where basically it creates a hyperlink that's connected that you can put any links in. And I will make sure that is in the description of this episode, this video, so you can go follow me on Instagram or my other stuff, because I do have several socials. Instagram, I have a TikTok, which I'm eventually going to do something with. I think later. I think the goal is to try to start something on there in the fall, but I just have to see how things fall. I have my Spotify, which is my Spotify account, which is basically how this all stuff started. Which I'm gonna start posting. I'm hoping to start posting things on that by the end of the summer. I'll probably try to work on some ideas and just have some different things ready for that. Wow, there's a lot of green here. Let's see what else can I talk about. Well, there's another thing I can talk about that it has actually been announced on Facebook, but I am going to be an uncle again. My family relations or something. My best friend is also my cousin. He got married, let's say, I guess it's been, actually I think he'll be coming up on 2 years, because he got married in September, and then the following September, which was last September, he had his first child with, well, it was the first child that was both of theirs. He actually has 3 stepkids from her previous marriage. So, yeah, this September will be my nieces. And like I said, even though I'm technically, I think the technical term would be second cousin, because he's my best friend and he's honestly like a brother to me. His kids refer to me as uncle, so in my mind, I am going to be an uncle again. I think the plan, and I actually do remember them saying that, they weren't going to like really plan out how many kids they were going to have. They're going to just kind of let God, give them however, they were going to have. Though that still kind of happened, even though my cousin, after the birth of his first child, he just kind of remembered all the pain that his wife was in giving birth, and he was like, I remember telling him that he never wanted to put her through that again. So he was like, that was the plan. So after that, the plan was he was going to get a vasectomy, and that was that. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. They didn't have medical insurance for a short time, and because of that, I guess I don't know if it was a case of that I guess they just had to put off the procedure, and so it was he didn't have medical insurance, so he couldn't pay for the procedure, I guess. So, like I said, I'm going to be an uncle again because he is having his second child, their 5th overall. So, and that is going to be, she's due at the end of December. So, basically a Christmas baby. So, but I'm pretty sure that he is definitely going to make sure he can get a vasectomy before they have a third child, because they already have a big family. Um, so, yeah, that's something. Um, Me, I have no kids. I would like to one day, but you know, I kind of have plans for my life, and I've never really met anyone. And truth is, I've never really dated, but that's just because you know I'm a socially awkward person. um, I I've definitely gotten more social in recent years, but my common youth group as a leader has definitely brought me out of my shell some degree. But I'm still myself. But I'm in no urge to, meet anyone. It's kind of like I'll just let God bring the person into my life, and if this happens before my plans for my life come into fruition, then that's what it is, and I will deal with it. If not, well, cool. My plan, like, I have had different plans in my life, and thought, I thought, this was the direction my life was going to go, and that changed. I mean, it's really not that long of a story, but I and if I repeat myself from video to video about certain things, I apologize. I don't remember the stories I tell, but I do like telling stories. Apparently, that's one thing of the mission trip that has actually been a recurring thing for me year to year, where some of the well, when we go on these mission trips, the organization, they have these things called care cards, where it's basically envelope set up for everyone, including the volunteers, that the red shirts, where you can basically put in some kind of message for them, that something that they will get after they leave the mission trip. All the envelopes for each youth group are given to the leader, the main leader, um, and then it's up to the youth. It's up to the leader, when to give them, whether it's before you leave, in the middle of your trip back, or wait till you get back. And it's so I'm actually noticing, reading some of my the care cards I got, and thinking back to some of the past ones. Uh, the well, actually, I just realized it had nothing to do with the care cards. Well, my memory's great, clearly. Um, so yeah, at the end of every group, every mission trip that I can remember, one of the last things we do during sort of like a crew time on the very last day we're there is, you basically go around and say something about each member of your crew that you know, whether it's a particular skill they had, that you appreciate, or just something about them that you enjoyed having around, or and actually a recurring thing, from year to year, has actually been that they enjoy hearing me tell my stories, which is stories about myself. Um, so like I said, that's a. So I think I will share one last thing about myself before this video ends out, and then I will go through and divide the rest of these and take a picture of them. And this kind of goes into the fact that I was just in Charleston, and what I'm about to say is relevant in the sense that it was what basically changed my plans. Like, my plans for my life was go to college, stay down there, and that was about it. I mean, I was a youth ministry major, so I probably thought at some point I would get a job in youth ministry. But then things happened. Like, I really enjoyed being down in Charleston, and always have. So when I was there during college, like, I really wanted to stay down there because it was like a second home to me. But then, over what ended up being my last summer break from college, I got accused of something I didn't do. Had to go through actually had to go through a court case. I mean, it's all obviously it's been taken care of. It's finished. I mean, that was like over 10 years ago. It was back in 2010 into 11, so it's long gone. But it's what got me home. And this is the whole point is that about what I'm saying as far as that I'm waiting on God as far as my plan when it comes to my future work. Is that my plans essentially were to stay down in Charleston and kind of make my life there. Then I got arrested for something I didn't do, and I tried to keep it under wraps, because my lawyer said it would be taken care of fairly quickly, and in the grand scheme of things, it was, even though it was like 6 months later, or actually it might have been less than that. It was I got arrested in August, came home for a short time, went back, so it was like I guess technically speaking, from the initial interaction, it might be like 6 months, or close to that. So I won't go into details of the case. It's not relevant to this story. By the time things got dealt with, as far as my case got my case basically got thrown out. I won't go into the details of what went on after that because it's not really my story to tell. Let's just say there was a court case that had to happen because I was with someone. They were also, they were innocent. We were both arrested for the same thing. It was, again, neither one of us did it. It was just an unfortunate circumstance we had to deal with. But my point in all this is that if I didn't get arrested, I would have never come home, and I never would have joined the youth group that I'm currently part of, and coming up on 10 years in the next. I started in 15, so in May of 25, I will have been a leader for 10 years, which is a very significant thing for me. As outside of like grade school, I don't think I've been a part of anything as long. I was in college for only 4 years, and like I said, I don't think I've ever been at, But anyway, the point is that my plans were to stay down at school. I got arrested, was forced to come home and deal with that, and by the time that was dealt with, it was kind of unfortunate in the sense that, there's this little thing that when you go off to college, you get student loans that you generally, I guess technically you can be working on paying them off while you're in college. That was not the direction I went. So I still have student loans. But the point is, when you're no longer a student, even if it's just what should be a temporary situation, which mine really was a temporary situation, but because I was technically considered no longer a student, they wanted money. They wanted me to start paying on my student loans. So it just became a financial reason. Like, I was not the best student in college, so I had situations prior to that where my grades were terrible and I was on academic probation. The financial thing was never really an issue in the sense of, we didn't, like I said, they were always going to work with us. But, they, like I said, they wanted their money, and so I couldn't go back to school. But, I got home, so that was in 2011 when all that got cleared up. And then I went through a couple different churches that were trying to do stuff, and eventually I found my current church that I've been at for, short of 10 years. My point is that was never my plan. So going back to my initial idea of that I'm just letting God decide to bring the right person into me, whether that's, works within my predetermined decided plans on my life, it won't really matter because I trust God. So yeah. So let me see if I can show you, say, you can kind of see there's this green here, there's blue, black, gray, a little bit of red, and these things are little grayer pieces. These are more dark gray. And I still have some to go through, which I will do after this. And my next video building stream will be me actually building this dinosaur. Start building it. So that is it for now. I will see you next time. Bye.